You say it constantly. Energy drinks, renewable energy, low energy. I have no energy today. It's one of the most common words you've got. It powers your phone. It powers your body. It powers the stars. You use this word, 100 times a week, and you never stop, never stumble, never wonder if you actually know what it means. Let's find out. Define it right now. And not a sentence with the word energy hiding somewhere inside it, the actual thing. What is it? Most people, they say something quick. It's the ability to do work. Okay, stop right there, because that's not a definition. That's a description of what energy does, not what it is. You've told me energy is the thing that does the thing. You've taken the mystery and you've renamed it, and you've handed it right back to me. Try again. It's what makes things move. Same problem. That's an effect. That's energy's resume, it's not its identity. You're describing the shadow and calling it the object. One more. It's like a fuel, something that gets used up. But, no wait, fuel is just stuff that has energy. So you've defined the word using the word. That's circular. That's a snake eating its own tail. And notice what's happening here. Every answer you reach for, every single one, it's a synonym wearing a little costume. You push on it, even gently, and it just collapses into the same empty space. And here's the part that should bother you, genuinely bother you. This isn't a you problem. It's not that you, skipped a day of school. The most basic word in all of physics, the thing that every law, every equation, every machine leans on, and nobody can tell you what it actually is. Not your teacher, not your textbook, not the fellow with 3 degrees and a chalkboard. Nobody. But before you decide that's just ignorance, that we simply haven't figured it out yet, stop. Because it isn't ignorance. It's something a lot stranger than ignorance. It's a whole, sitting right at the center of physics, fully known, fully mapped, completely understood as a whole. And we've built the entire modern world right on top of it. One man said this out loud, plainly, in front of a whole room full of students. His name was Richard Feynman, and almost nobody listened. Richard Feynman was not a man who hid from hard questions. He helped build quantum electrodynamics, the most precisely tested theory in the history of science. He won a Nobel Prize. He understood physics, well, about as deeply as anyone who's ever lived. And this is the man who stood up in front of a class and said plainly that in physics today, we have no knowledge of what energy is. Read that again. Sit in it for a second. Let it be uncomfortable, because it should be. This isn't a confused student. This isn't some skeptic outside the field taking shots. This is one of the architects of modern physics telling you openly that the discipline does not know what its most important quantity actually is. Now, be careful here, because you need to understand exactly what he meant. It's very easy to hear that wrong. Feynman did not mean physics is broken. He did not mean energy isn't real. He did not mean any of this is guesswork, or that the lights might, go out tomorrow. No, the opposite. Energy is the most reliable idea we've got. So what did he mean? He meant this. There's a difference, a deep one, a sharp one, between describing something and explaining it, between knowing how something behaves and knowing what it is. And physics has all of the first kind and almost none of the second. We can measure energy, we can calculate it to absurd precision, almost insane precision. We can track it through an explosion, a heartbeat, a collapsing star, and account for every last fraction of it. We know how energy behaves better than we know almost anything in the whole universe. But what is the thing being measured? What's the actual substance, the stuff, the object behind the number? On that, physics is silent. Not embarrassed silent, honestly silent. And this is the same gap that runs underneath every hard question in science. We describe beautifully, and we explain almost nothing at the bottom. Energy is just the cleanest, sharpest example of that gap there is. So how can we know everything about how a thing behaves and nothing about what it is? How is that even possible? To see it, to really see it, not just nod along, you don't need an equation. You need a story. So here's the story. There's a little boy, call him Dennis. And Dennis, he has 28 blocks, wooden blocks, all identical. And this part matters, completely indestructible. They can't be broken, can't be created, can't be destroyed. There are 28. There will always be 28. Every night his mother counts them before bed. 28, 28, 28. Then one night she counts and finds only 27. Panic? No. She looks around, checks the room, and there it is. One block under the rug. 28. Bookkeeping restored. But now it gets interesting. Another night she counts and finds only 26. And this time the missing blocks, they're nowhere. But she notices something. The toy box over in the corner, it's heavier than it should be. She can't open it. Let's say it's locked. She can't see inside. So she gets clever. She weighs the box. She knows what the empty box weighs. She knows what one block weighs. So she does a little arithmetic. Weight of the box minus the empty weight divided by the weight of one block. And that number, plus the blocks she can already see, it comes out to 28 every time. Then one night the bath water is dirty, murky. She can't see the blocks at the bottom. But she's clever again. She measures how high the water rises, and she knows how much one block lifts it. Another formula. And again, 28. Now, look at what's happening here. Every new hiding place needs a new formula. The toy box gets one formula. The dirty bath water gets a completely different one. The rug, well, the rug needs no formula at all. Different rules, different calculations every single time. But the total, you add up every formula, every visible block, every hidden one, the total is always 28. Never 27, never 29, always exactly 28. And here is the twist. The twist that turns a little children's story into the deepest idea in physics. With Dennis, there are real blocks. Behind every formula, there's an actual wooden object, something you could hold in your hand if you could just open the box, just drain the water. The formula is only standing in for something solid. But energy? Energy has no blocks. There is no little object being counted. There's no stuff hiding in the box. There are only the formulas, and the fact that the number never changes. Let's take Dennis and lay him directly over real physics. Energy, you've been told, comes in different forms. Kinetic energy, the energy of motion. A car going down the highway has it. The faster it moves, the more it carries. Gravitational energy, that's the energy of height. Lift a book over your head and you've stored some. Let it fall and you get it right back. Elastic energy, pull back a bowstring and it's sitting right there in the tension. Heat energy, a hot cup of coffee is holding it in the trembling of its molecules. Then chemical, nuclear, radiant, and the strangest one of all, mass itself. Now, look at what each of these actually is. Each form is a hiding place, and each hiding place has its own formula, its own way of being counted. Kinetic energy has one formula. Gravitational energy has a completely different one. Heat needs another. Chemical energy, well, another still. These formulas, they don't look alike. They're not the same calculation. It's the toy box and the dirty bath water all over again. Separate rules for separate hiding places. And here is the law, the conservation of energy. Take any process at all, a fire, a collision, a star burning, a single thought in your head. Add up every form of energy before it happens, then add up every form after. The two totals are identical, always. Energy moves from one hiding place to another. It changes costume. Motion becomes heat, height becomes motion, chemical becomes light, but the total never moves, never. So, hear what this is actually saying. Energy is not a fluid. It does not flow through wires like water through a pipe. It is not a substance that gets used up. You've heard people say that, and well, it's just wrong. Energy is a number. It's a total. You calculate it by checking every hiding place and adding it all up. It's bookkeeping. It's an accountant's figure at the bottom of a page, an abstract quantity whose one defining miraculous property is that it never, ever changes. And that's the strange part. Stated as plainly as it can be, does not have a picture of the stuff. There is no stuff. There is a rule about a number. And in every experiment ever performed, across 400 years, that rule has never once been broken. So we're left with a question, one that should be bothering you by now. If energy isn't the substance, if there are no blocks, if it's just a number, then why does the number exist at all? Why is there this magical, unbreakable total sitting underneath everything? A rule that strict, it doesn't come from nowhere. Something has to be holding it in place. And here is the answer. And it is, honestly, one of the most beautiful things in all of physics. Energy is conserved because the laws of physics do not change over time. Now, think about what that means. An experiment you run today gives the same result if you run it tomorrow, or a year from now, or a billion years ago. The rules of the universe, they don't care what time it is. Drop a ball on Tuesday, drop it on Friday. Same fall, same speed, same everything. And that sameness, that boring total consistency of time, it has a name in physics. It's a symmetry. And here's the part that should stop you. A mathematician, her name was Emmy Noether, she proved something just staggering. Every symmetry in nature produces a conservation law. And the symmetry of time, the fact that the laws don't shift from one moment to the next, that exact symmetry, that's where conservation of energy comes from. Energy is conserved because time is uniform. So look at what energy actually is. Energy is not a thing floating around out there in the universe. Energy is a consequence of the universe being consistent with itself. The unbreakable number exists because the rules don't drift. That's the whole answer. That's bedrock. And now, go back to the thread that's run through this entire thing. The difference between how and why. We can calculate energy to staggering, ridiculous precision. We can predict it. We build engines with it, reactors, power grids spanning whole continents, all of it resting on this number and never once betrayed by it. That is how energy behaves, mapped completely. But we still cannot hand you the stuff. And now you know the reason. Not because we failed to find it, but because there is no stuff to find. The number is the reality. The bookkeeping is the thing. And that's the part people get backwards. That isn't a gap in our knowledge. That isn't physics falling short. That is the knowledge. So let's bring the whole thing together. You started with a word you use every single day, and you discovered you couldn't define it. Every answer just collapsing into a synonym, wearing a costume. Then Feynman, one of the greatest physicists who ever lived, he told you plainly that the field has no knowledge of what energy is. Then a little boy named Dennis showed you what that confession actually means. Formulas for every hiding place, a total that never changes. And behind it all, well, no blocks. Then you saw what energy really is. Not a fluid, not a substance, but bookkeeping, an accountant's number. And finally you saw why that number exists at all. Because time itself is uniform. Because the universe is consistent with itself. Now, sit with what that means. The universe runs on a quantity that nobody, not you, not Feynman, not anyone, can picture. There is no image of it. There is no stuff. And yet, it is the single most reliable rule we have ever found. Every machine you've ever used obeys it. Every star burning up in the sky obeys it. Every cell in your body right now obeys it. A number nobody can see, and nothing in 400 years has ever broken it. And here's the part that should genuinely change how you see things. We did not need to know what energy is to master it completely. We harnessed it, we transmitted it across continents, we split atoms with it, we lit up the night with it. All of it without ever once holding the stuff, because there is no stuff to hold. And that's what understanding actually means in physics. Not a cozy picture. Not a comfortable little analogy that lets you nod and move on. Predictive power, the ability to calculate, to test, to build. The universe never promised you a thing you could picture. It offered you something better, a rule you can trust, absolutely. Not comfort, not familiarity, truth.